Is it a win for freedom of expression, or has it put businesses across the country at risk? What we're talking about is the SABC banner wars. A disgruntled businessman, George Prokas, put up a banner on Beyers Naude Drive in Northern Johannesburg, calling the mobile operator's Sandton Branch the most useless service provider in the world. Prokas claims that SABC charged him for a number somebody else was using and refused to take his name off a blacklist. Yesterday, SABC failed in its bid for an urgent interdict to have that banner removed, and the case was dismissed with costs. A judge said the banner delivered fair comment. SABC, however, says the judgment has far-reaching consequences for business in South Africa. They now face the risk of having their reputations tarnished. It also says Prokas's claim that he was billed for somebody else's use of his phone was incorrect. Well, let's discuss. This has been playing out all week. We're now joined by the Group CEO of Interbrand, Samson de Villiers, Doug de Villiers. Great to have you with us,
nice to
Doug.
Be here, thanks.
So despite what SABC is saying, do you agree with me this should never have gone to court?
Well, no, I think SABC's reaction to it was poor. I mean, clearly they have a legal point of view, but that's not the issue. The issue is reputational, and the issue is around how the brand was behaving and what they'd advertised, the promise that they'd made to consumer, and the fact that the power sits very strongly in the consumer's hand when that promise is not delivered. I think it's a bit of a heavy-handed approach to chase the little guy, and history has shown time and time again when big brands pursue the consumer, an individual, the individual might not win in court, but he'll win in public opinion.
Well, have you been following social media? It's given everybody an opportunity to pile on and complain about SABC.
Well, that's the power of it, of course. I mean, social media can take something that is effectively a static banner in one corner, and all of a sudden there are hundreds and thousands of tweets and a huge amount of interest around one brand and that brand's behavior. I suppose the scary part is that SABC is quite well connected with the consumer already, and they should have preempted something like this and had an appropriate response perhaps in place.
They're saying the issue is defamation, also privacy. We'll get to that.
Yeah.
But how is this different from people who climb onto Hello Peter and rip off brands? It's just that he had more money to put this banner up.
No, look, I mean, he must have really got to a point where he was significantly grumpy. I think if you talk to most consumers, we've all had a moment like it where we really want to go and make a big noise about it, and sometimes we just sort of suck it up and forget about it. This guy carried it all the way through, and it's probably a good lesson for most brands. We all have unpleasant experiences with a brand at some stage of the fight. The reaction and how it's dealt with by the company is the key thing. You can ignore it, hope it goes away, pursue it in court, or actually use it as an opportunity to do something really clever with your brand or learn from it. They failed on all of those. I'm
going to ask you how they should have dealt with it, but first, I think Prokas did err by putting up the number, a name and number of an official. SABC is saying that's why the court case was about protection of its employees, although somebody's rubbed that number out anyway.
Yeah, and I think they may have a legal case. I can't talk to that. I think it may also just be a bit of...
He should have left it out.
He probably should have left it out, yeah.
Okay, so SABC is saying that this puts businesses at risk, and we'll try and bring up a picture. The Citizen running this FNB, a slogan ripping off FNB that has been doing the rounds. Is that fair, that businesses now face increased risk? There you can see the picture of that banner outside the SABC banner.
Well, I think it will put businesses at risk that don't do what they promise. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. So if you're going to have a promise, you're going to position your ad or your brand in the market, and you don't perform, you should get a wake-up call, and maybe this is one of them. You'll find the organizations that actually deliver on their brand, that do what they say, and do it proactively and do it cleverly, don't get faced with this. And even in the case of FNB, this has, I believe, been around for a while. There's been no huge Twitter war around it whatsoever, because quite frankly, they haven't reacted and taken this chap to court. And perhaps the consumer doesn't believe that FNB is that bad.
Okay, give me the model response. What would you have done?
Well, I mean, first of all, they should have known about it before it happened. All the signals were there. Clearly, there's a customer that was grumpy. And I would
Sit
suggest...
down with him.
He probably wasn't the only one.
Give him coffee.
And they're probably not the only cell phone provider that has also made customers grumpy. But they connected to the customer. You should know that if you're getting to a stage where there's going to be a customer reaction, a negative customer reaction, deal with it proactively. And there's great opportunities for them to go back and preempt this kind of thing. And when it happened, the first thing they should have done is diffuse the situation, sit down with him, give him a phone, make peace. And the second thing, if it's out on Twitter, is put a banner next door and say, hell, he may be right. And guess what? We're going to do the following 5 things. And you'll diffuse it like this.
There are instances, like you were saying, there are precedents where companies have done it wrong. Villiers had to withdraw its Frankie's line. But companies can take a good response and gain huge leverage out of that.
And that's the trick. You've got to find, there's always diversity in business. There are consumers that will push back. How do you take that and turn it into something positive? That's the trick. Michael Jordan, I think, has previously done it at F&B when he went on Twitter and said, look, our system is down, but I'm at the centre and I'll take your calls personally. And you get a huge amount of consumer affinity with that. You push the consumer away, and you're going to get immediate negative feedback, which is what's happened here.
Is this a lesson linking to the new world that we live in at all, where everything is so open, where things fly around so openly on social media? And is it a lesson you have to stop being defensive? You also have to be open.
Look, everything's open. We talk about the economy these days. Everything is connected. Everybody, ultimate power sits with the consumer, and the consumer can take his cell phone and have a voice amongst hundreds of thousands instantaneously. We need to understand the power of that media and the positive and the negative that you can do with it. And if you're a clever organization and you understand that your brand is not an advert, it's not a beauty parade, it's actually a battle of service, it's a battle for the minds. And the only way you get that right is behaving appropriately. And put your money into the right areas. Use Twitter, use these feeds to understand where your consumers are at, and use it positively. Don't be defensive. Nobody wins in a defensive or even an aggressive defense that we may have seen in this case.
I'm disappointed because Cell C has spoken to us before. They're suddenly not available. And again, that would have given you media coverage. Just come and talk about it. Do you agree?
Simple things. A great idea would have been to take the CEO and say, listen, I'm in the call center for the next 24 hours, and I'll take the calls. You want to give people the impression, and hopefully correctly so, that you're interested, that you're listening, and that you're involved, and that you're taking them seriously. But by chasing a guy in court for a banner, well, how legitimate and how badly presented his gripe may have been, he's got a gripe and it's out there. Do a reaction or have a reaction that builds your brand properly by showing that you care.
Well, thank you so much. Doug de Villiers from Interbrand Samson de Villiers.